let's see how this goes. I look like I literally just woke up because I did. Let me put my seatbelt on. Okay. I gotta remember that I try to edit these as little as possible, so I don't have the time for errors. And if you hear the heat, that's because I have the heater on because it's literally 40 degrees outside or in here. Either way, it's cold. So, yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. I think I'm getting better at filming in public because I'm like not as freaked out about having my camera out on my phone and like having people be able to see that I'm recording myself. We'll see about that. But anyway, let me focus on the video before I get distracted. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So, or most likely this will be a podcast episode, but it's a YouTube, whatever. I'm already rambling. Hi guys, welcome back. This is my podcast. So, hi, welcome back to my podcast, Randonchatswana. I'm your host, Ananda, and I still don't know my podcast intro, which I probably should figure that out soon. But anyway, let's get into today's episode. Where am I going? I'm going home. No, I'm not gonna get to that. Oh man, this is fun. Hi guys, I'm distracted clearly. I look like I just woke up and I look like hoodlum. I just look rough because it's 7:54 in the morning. It's early. I don't know how well this mic's gonna work. I don't know if I put it close enough to my mouth. We'll see when I have to edit. If the audio's bad, obviously I won't post it because it's a podcast. I hope for the podcast for good audio. So if this goes up, that means it was good enough for me. So we'll just roll with it. Okay, let me get into today's topic. I'm distracted. Okay, so I had to say, before I get to today's topic, I had to announce two things. One, and if you watched my last week's podcast, you would see that I mentioned something about December being Movie Mania, and like how every week I was going to post a video about a movie, commentary about it, blah blah. I'm not doing that anymore for one reason. There's just one reason. I just don't have the time to do that anymore because okay, that was weird. Okay, anyway, for those of you that are listening, I'm driving home and I'm trying to make a right turn, and then one person was taking a left turn, another person was going straight, but they both had to wait. It was weird, so I was just like, okay. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't even know. Oh yes, Movie Mania. So I was saying in November, because that video that I uploaded last week, I actually filmed like in the middle of November, like before Thanksgiving. So that video was supposed to be up in November, and then I was going to try to upload in December once a week. I was going to like have someone help me with editing and all that stuff. I was going to get it together. And then I couldn't do what I wanted to do in the sense of like who I wanted to have help me. Like it just wasn't working out to the way how I would have liked it to. Not because of the person, because of other reasons, but essentially I just don't have time to edit on my own for the Movie Mania because it takes a lot of work to put those videos together. So therefore, I will postpone that and do it another month. I'm still going to do it, just not in December. So that's going to be done another month. Second thing, today's topic is not going to be about a career in art. I'm still going to do the episode. I was supposed to be honest, today's Friday. The 9th. Today's the 9th. This video, I'm trying to get it up by today. So this video is supposed to be up within like a few hours, which is why I'm trying so hard not to have any edits because I really don't have the time to edit anything really at all. So, but I was supposed to film 2 videos on Wednesday, 2 podcast videos, and I didn't film either of them because I was tired from work. So I just rested because whenever I am tired, I know I have to take a break or like a rest day because if I don't, I will malfunction in the worst ways possible, and I'm trying to avoid that. So I'm like, whenever I feel myself, I quickly burn out because after years of constantly being on the go and doing that grind with no rest, you get burned out quickly. So I can see the signs of when I will severely burn out and just be a rotten potato for like a month. So I'm like, you know what? Let me not get to that point. and let me take a break. So that's what I did on Wednesday. But I was supposed to film 2 videos, but I couldn't because I was like, I'm too tired, my brain's dead, and I don't feel like I could film 2 videos. So I decided to just do it another time. So that video about me doing art, I could have filmed it today but I just didn't want to because I feel like I wouldn't have enough to talk about to the potential that I want to, because I want to do some research on those. Like I want to read like case studies and like journal articles about that, because this, like, I feel like there's a scholarship. That's not the right word. There is information about making art your career that I want to look up and then be able to read. I kind of want that to be more of a video essay, essentially, than like just a like casual podcast. So it will still be like on my podcast, but I want to make it more structured, which is why I need more time to plan it. Because my podcast episodes are supposed to just be whatever like comes, like a topic that I can like talk about for at least 30 minutes to an hour and then go on my business. So therefore that video will be up either next week or the week after. It will be up this month. I won't take that long to get it up. I'll just have to find time to do research. But yeah. Also, I want to make a disclaimer now. I may or may not post a video next week Friday. I will post one on Wednesday. I may not post one on Friday because next week in general, I have to work. Oh Jesus, I have to work. Oh my God, there's so many people. Okay, I lied about people. Okay, I'm gonna pretend like no one's here. I'm gonna keep talking because there's a lot of people and they can all see me recording, and I'm very embarrassed because this is a popular like bus stop. But I'm gonna keep filming because I'm gonna keep going. Oh my gosh. What was I talking about? I literally saw all these people and I got so scared. Okay, power through. Keep going. You got this. What was it? I literally forgot what I was saying. This you're witnessing the angst. That person, what was that in their hand? Are they making a turn? No. They're probably gonna go straight. I couldn't turn. So I'm in like an awkward position. Now I really can't move because this car's right in front of me. Yeah, you're gonna have to go because I can't go. Cool. Oh, okay, cool. I love that these cars did that. Like, yeah, blocked me from being able to go. Okay, we're good. Oh my gosh, there were just so many people at this bus stop, and I was just like, oh my gosh, they can all see me. So I got scared. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh my gosh, I literally forgot what I was saying. Oh well, I was talking about, oh my goodness, I genuinely forgot what I was talking about, like, for real. I don't know what I was talking about. Anyway, we're gonna move on, because I really don't know what I was talking about, and I got scared. Okay, so, I'm trying to remember what I was gonna say. I'm gonna move on. So, yes, I was talking about, next week, I'm working, like, 4 days in a row. I'm gonna be busy all next week, so I might not have time to, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to film more than one video, because even today I'm busy. I have to do a paper that's late. Like, it's almost 2 weeks late now. I had to do it today, give it in today before it's too late. And then I have a bunch of homework to do, and then next week I'm busy all next week, so I might not post a video next week. But if I could find some time to get it done, I will get it done. If not, sorry. Anyway, now those are the 2 announcements. Now I can get into today's topic. So today's topic, we're gonna be talking about, I don't know what I would want to title this. I'm in between 2 titles. One being why I think the phrase "all men are trash" is problematic, or whatever else I might title this video. I don't know. I feel like part of the reason why I would title it why I think the phrase "all men are trash" is problematic is because it's like, you could be like, what does she mean by that? Like, is she not is she not agreeing with us? Like, you know, I feel like it could be an engaging title, but it also, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know if I'm going to name this, but for now, I'm going to just say the topic, why I think the phrase "all men are problematic" is, oh my gosh, why I think the phrase "all men are trash" is problematic. I'm going to go with that title, but that's the topic. Now that we've gotten to the topic, just hear me out. Don't do your torches. Hear me out. First, I'm going to put this into two sections. I'm first going to talk about why I understand that is a phrase that people say. Like, I'm going to explain why I understand it, and then I'm going to get into why I think it's not the best thing to say and it's a little bit problematic. So that's what I'll get into today. And this car is going to try to come next to me, and then we're going to have to go merge because it's only a one-way eventually. Okay, so first I'm going to get into my personal experience with men and how I understand how some men can be very agitating and annoying and excruciating. And I understand women are like this too. But there are too many men in this world that feel like they have the right to just do whatever they want. And it's just like, every time when I've had to check a person, it's always been a man. Like, no, that's a lie. It's 99% been men. Boys in school, and then men, as in like teachers or adults. And then in college, it was always a guy student. Like, it was, okay, clearly you have to go somewhere, so you could just go in front. Because, you know, it's a one-way street regardless. Okay. But yeah, so I don't even know what my first experience would be. Like, I feel like my first experience with checking a male. I would say, I'm saying male just for the sense of like a boy. I don't know. I don't think I should have filmed this video while I'm driving, because I'm focusing on driving, of course, but like, because I'm focusing on driving, I feel like I can't fully explain my thoughts. But they're turning. Okay, that's good. Go slow because the popo's there. Okay. I'm gonna put this all in. Like, it's just gonna be the way. This is just gonna be how it is. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Okay. Hold on a second, guys. I'm driving. Okay. So, what was I saying? Oh yes, I would say my first experience with checking a boy would be when I was in the 8th grade. And okay, yeah, I was in the 8th grade, and there was this boy. I was in the 8th grade, and I used to play. My middle school used to have a kind of a program, I guess, that would they let us play sports in the morning. So the morning sport that we played at this period of time was volleyball. And people that know me, that is literally my favorite sport. I love volleyball. I was on the volleyball team in high school for 2 years. It wasn't. Oh man, ambulance. I'm trying to do as much as I can. That car's not moving for some reason. I don't know why. It's supposed to move when the ambulance is coming. I don't know why that car's not moving. That was weird. Anyway, so yes, so I was in 8th grade, and we would play volleyball in the morning as a practice thing. So we would play volleyball, and there was a day when my teacher was like, oh, that I can be the person that keeps score. So I was a scorekeeper. And then as I'm keeping score, there's this boy. He's like a 7th grader. He's maybe 5'10". He's taller than me. He's taller than me, a little bit bigger than me. And we're playing the sport. We're playing a volleyball. And then I'm keeping score of my team's points and the other team's points. And no one has a complaint. So this boy, of course, he likes to be like, oh, you're not keeping the score right. It's actually this score. And once or twice, okay, if I made a mistake, then I made a mistake. That's fine. But it was just the way how this guy was trying to correct my scorekeeping. It was with an attitude. And on top of that, he was wrong, because he kept saying, oh no, it's this score, it's this score. And I kept going to my friends is he right? Am I actually keeping the score wrong? And everyone was like, no, your score is right. So I'm like, okay, so I'm not tripping. It's this boy. This boy's tripping. And he keeps telling me that I'm wrong when I'm not. I'm right. And so he kept trying to correct me, kept trying to tell me that I was wrong, whatever. So after the 3rd or 4th time, I was like, dude, you're literally wrong, because I'm keeping the score and everyone is telling me that you're wrong and I'm right. I don't understand what you're doing. And then I'm not gonna lie, when I was in middle school and high school, I was a little feral. So my mouth, I had a potty mouth when I was young, okay? So excuse me, but I did curse him out. I'm not saying this to be, I'm not proud of this, but I'm just acknowledging that this is something that I didn't, okay. All right, now I'm saying him because the car didn't turn. I had a potty mouth, so I did curse him out when I was at this point, because he was getting me upset. He kept telling me I was wrong when I wasn't, and he was just annoying me. So I just cursed him out, and I was like, oh, you are wrong. Pipe it down. I know what I'm doing. You don't know what you're doing. Calm down. because I had to check him because he was kind of being obnoxious and annoying. So I did that, and then he got quiet. Then he stopped. The rest of the morning he was fine, and everyone was looking at me like, uh-oh. So that was the first time. And the reason why I did that was because he felt like he was right when he was wrong. And then on top of that, he was rude about how he was trying to correct me. And it was just like, if you're going to correct me with the right attitude, don't correct me with an attitude and then be wrong. Like, you have the audacity to be having all this huffing and puffing to be wrong. Like, it's annoying. So I had to check him. Then the next time I remember having to check someone was also in 8th grade. This one was a little violent way to check someone, so I'm not going to explain how I checked him, but I did check him. He was basically being very annoying, and I don't think I want to put that out on the internet. What I didn't do anything illegal. Let's make that clear. I didn't do anything illegal. It's just I was very aggressive. I'm not as aggressive anymore, but I did use my hand. Like, basically, this little kid was being obnoxious, annoying. And I feel bad for him because you could clearly tell that he, financially, he wasn't in the best situation. And then on top of that, like, so people would make fun of him because of his situation. So, like, I would have, like, empathy for, like, I would sympathize, I would say. I would sympathize with him because I would feel bad that, like, you know, I don't know if his situation was not the best. So I felt bad for him. But then, homeboy would try to, like, roast people and then, like, try to come at me if, like, let's say, like, I didn't have, like, jeans that fit me or whatever, if I was wearing high heels or something. He would try to make fun of me because of it. And I'm like, I know you're not talking with your broke self. You wear high heels on a daily basis. I was like, I know you're not talking about me because that is your daily attire. This is my occasional attire. You wear this every single day with your raggedy jeans. Like, don't come for me. I will come for you in a hot second. So this is the kid that was being obnoxious and annoying. And then one time I kept telling this boy, leave me alone. Like, I am not, like, leave me alone. I don't like you. I'm not in the mood for this. Leave me alone. This boy kept bothering me. He kept picking on me. And basically, he kept picking on me. And then his friends, I was like, we were going to all pick up our coats and stuff. So then this boy kept bothering me. I kept telling him, leave me alone, leave me alone. Like, you're bothering me, you're getting me annoyed. And I don't know if I was just having a really bad day or like he was just really pissing me off, but he just kept going at it. So then I went to go charge at him. Like, I was going to go get him and, like, hurt him. I'm laughing, not because I think using violence is funny. I just think it's funny looking back at it, okay? So relax. But yeah, so I was gonna go after him, and because his friends were behind me, I had my book bag on, so they all four. Now, mind you, I'm the only girl in this group. There's like 5 boys, and I'm the only girl, because I'm like, we all know each other, but I'm the only girl in this situation. And all 4 of his friends, all 4 boys, grabbed my book bag and held me back from getting him. And when I tell you, this boy ran for his life. Like, I'm genuinely not kidding. He dipped. He was gone. He left. He sprinted away because he was scared that I was going to beat him up. I mean, I was going to. And then he ran away. So then I went about my business. I was able to I didn't explain the situation. Basically, we were all waiting to go into our classroom to get our coats because it was the end of the day. We had to get our coats so we could leave. So that's what we were doing. And during this waiting period, he was annoying me. I went to go chase him. He left because he got scared. His friends held me back, so I couldn't beat him up. Because they were all telling me, it's not worth it. Leave him. Like, it's not worth it. Don't do it. Like, they weren't, like, on his side, but they were just like, don't do it. It's not worth the time. Like, don't even waste your breath on him. Like, because they all knew he was annoying. Let's be real. They all knew he was annoying. And it was like, don't waste your breath on him. Just leave it. So when he left, I was like, okay, fine. So then we go get our coats. And then he comes in because he had to get his coat too. So he came over, and I put my hands on him. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to explain what I did, but I did put my hands on that man. And I was like, leave me alone. Don't mess with me. Like, I'm being so for real. Like, leave me alone. Like, I told you leave me alone, and you chose to not listen. This is what happens when you don't leave me alone when I tell you to leave me alone. And then he learned. He never bothered me again. And then he also was a bully because he freaking tried to bully one of my friends. So rude. Like, he had the audacity to make fun of one of my friends on a Facebook post, and then he got in trouble for it, which rightfully so. He deserved to get in trouble. I'm going to stop because I'm going to get a sandwich and I'm hungry. So I will pause this video and come back when I am back to Actually, I shouldn't have stopped here, but I'm gonna stop here anyway. All right, I'll be back. Okay, back. All right. I'm gonna be in this car for like kind of a while, so. All right. Okay. So what was I talking about? I was talking about my encounter with a bully. But yeah, so those are my like 2 encounters with boys in like middle school, and then I would just say in high school they were just mostly like just obnoxious people that like sometimes would just think they're smart, but like they're not, or like they think they're right but they're wrong. So you just gotta constantly check them like 1 to 3 times a day. I remember there was like, I forgot like exactly what these arguments were about, but I remember based off like my friends telling me how like either me or my high school best friend, we would either one of us, like if one of us were arguing with someone, we would both be arguing with that person. Like let's say this someone annoys me and then I start arguing with them. If my best friend saw me arguing with someone, she would jump in because obviously she knows that there's a reason why we're arguing, and then like if she feels like she needs a tag team, like she'll tag team. And the same thing will be with her. Like if I saw her arguing with someone, then I would jump in the argument, because not because to intimidate them, but more so to be like, you're actually in the wrong. Like if she was wrong, like if one of us was wrong, we would just let them rock. Be like, ah, that's a you thing. But like if we know they're right, then we chime in, and we were never wrong, so we always chimed in. But yeah, there was just always this one person that we just constantly arguing with over and over and over again, because this person swore they just swore, and then we were just like, but like no. And like, and they were also kind of cringy too. Like I mean, everyone's cringy in high school. It's high school, like come on. But like this person was just whatever. So not really gonna get into it in high school per se. I will say in college there was a few times when I had to, well, in high school, I think besides like the boys in the school, I would just say the only other time when I was checking the male species was teachers, and I'm not going to get into that because this person's trying to park and now they're blocking my way from being able to go. Okay. But yeah, it was just arguing with teachers, because arguing with teachers in school is a whole different topic I'm not going to get into. Today's Tuesday. I don't want to park there. Yeah, that's a whole debacle I don't want to get into, because it's genuinely, that's a podcast for another day. They're taking up so many opportunities for me to park. There's like 2 buses that they just took up lanes that I could literally park in, and they just be standing there. No, today's Friday. Dang it. Well, I was gonna have to stay inside anyway. Might as well just park there. Might as well. But yeah, so I remember this podcast might be all over the place. I just realized that now. If it is, oops. Like, what can you do? You know? I mean, I could just plan a video better. I could be more cohesive, but what's the fun in that? I mean, I don't know. I'm like, what's the fun in that? I mean, it's fun to understand, but I guess. Anyways, I'm only gonna be here for like an hour, then I have to leave anyway. So it's like I'm not gonna be going anywhere. Okay, so now that I don't have to drive anymore, I could be more like collective in my thoughts. Okay, so what was I talking about? What was I talking about? I don't know. I look rough. This is not the topic. Yes, I was talking about basically in high school how like the only people I was checking was like mostly just ignorant boys and just teachers. But then in college, I remember distinctly like 2 to 3 scenarios of just, this is more of just me talking about my interactions, my weird but annoying interactions with men. And these are like the funny, like going ones. Like there are, I feel like with me, I think there's I would say there's 2 that are kind of like the reason why legit people say men are trash. And then one I'm not gonna get into, but one I can get into. But let me I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyway, let me keep going. I kind of went, before I get into college, I kind of want to backtrack into like something that's just funny. Or should I? No, I'm not gonna put it. Never mind. What was I saying? I don't know. I was talking about college. Yes. So there was 2 times in college where I had to just, there was just a male just being very obnoxious and just annoying. One time was I was a sophomore in college, and there was this boy who just, I had a job that, like, basically the way how I made friends in college in a way was by like who I was roommates with, and then who I worked with. Like basically coworkers and my roommates became my friends. Like my freshman year, the roommate, I wasn't a triple, but one of my roommates I did know from high school, the other one I didn't know, but then we became roommates, and then we became close, and now she's my college best friend. And then my last roommate, senior year, we were coworkers, became friends, and then we were coworkers and roommates, and then whatever. So the words, yes. So sophomore year, I was getting to a point. The reason why I mentioned friends is because during my sophomore year, I had my coworkers, and I had 2 of my friends, 2 of my coworkers. We were hanging out a lot, so it was like the 3 of us hanging out a lot. So we just became friends because we hung out all the time. And one of my coworkers, she had 2 other friends that would often come to our dorm. So it would be basically either 3 of us or the 5 of us. So it's either 3 or 5, mostly 5, but sometimes 3 if it's like really late at night and we're having like a last minute hangout. It'll be 3 of us. But essentially, it'll be the 3 of us or the 5 of us. So there would be this one kid that would sometimes just come, like he'll see us hanging out, and then he'll just come, and he was my friend's roommate. So he was my friend's roommate, and I think he knew that I didn't like him, because I just never spoke to him, because everyone would be cordial or like friendly with him, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just like I just couldn't find it in me to pretend that I can be cordial with this man, with how obnoxious he was as a person. I just didn't vibe with that. I just didn't understand that I didn't like it. So I was just like, I'm not gonna pretend like I like you. So I would rather just keep quiet and keep to myself and let you interact with my friends. And if you say something funny, I'll laugh, whatever. But the reason why I didn't like him was, well, to be honest, I already had, like, one of my friends actually went to school with him, so I already knew about him a little bit. So like now when I saw him, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the one. So seeing him interact in person, I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, so then this boy, right? He's like, we're interacting. Well, I'm not interacting. He just says stuff sometimes. Like, you know how with someone, like, they're kind of like, in a sense, like, quote unquote weird just because they're different than other people, and you can tell that they could get bullied for being that type of weird. He was that type of person, so you can just tell. But like, everyone was just being nice to him and cordial, because everyone's like, it's whatever. And sometimes he would just say stuff that's out of pocket, or he'll just say the cringiest stuff ever. So I would have to tell him, hey, that was really cringe, right? Like, everyone, like, I remember there was this one thing he said where he was trying to say, like, he was basically like, there was, like I said, my 2 coworkers, one of my coworkers, she had 2 friends that she went to high school with, and they will always hang out with us. So he didn't know their names. And so he knew one of the names, but he didn't know the other. So basically, he comes, and then he tries to make a comment about them, and then they're like, do you even know our names? And then he was like, I think one of them, he did say their names. And then the other girl that he didn't guess yet, she was like, okay, so what about my name? And then he goes, he couldn't guess her name. So then he goes, oh my God. He goes, oh, I didn't memorize your name because I was looking at your pretty face, or something like that. And y'all, the room was like, we were in the lobby, like in the front, the lobby where like the entrance of our dorm, because one of us was like on duty, so we were like, if one of us is working, and like one of my 3 friends were working, we were all just there. So someone was working at night, and we just all When I tell you the room was silent, everyone was just like, ew. And no one, when I tell you no one was speaking, no one was speaking. Everyone was silent. So, of course, I had to be the one to be like, you do know that was very cringe, right? No, I said that was bad. That's all I said. I was like, that was bad. And he was like, yeah, I know. And I was like, no, that was really bad. And then eventually I was like, you should just go. Like, I literally just told him you should just leave. And then when he left, I went to my friend and I was like, I'm so sorry you had to be a victim of that. Like, you are a victim. I'm so sorry you had to like experience that. Like, no one should have to go through what you just went through. Like I said, it was like a traumatic experience for her. And she was just there, like, she looked like she felt like she needed to take a bath. Like, that's how disgusted she looked with the situation. I mean, rightfully so, because like this man literally just like tried to flirt with her because he didn't know her name. Like, he was just weird, but he was kind of like annoying. And this man just like, oh my goodness. So this man I can't even like explain. He would just do weird stuff, and like he would just this is another scenario where like I feel like sometimes maybe this person in particular would just like, he could be misunderstood. Either that or he just didn't explain situations properly, because there was another case where it was me and my friend, his roommate. We were like, one of us was, I think this time we were like doing work together or something, because I think that semester we both had a class together. We were doing homework basically, or I don't know, we were hanging out. One of us was working, so both of us downstairs just hanging out. And then he comes, he's like dressed up, whatever. And then he goes and he tells us that he sees a girl in the lobby, in the lounge, the main lounge, which is like the biggest lounge in that building. And he says that he sees this girl that he's seen a few times on campus, and that he was thinking basically about talking to her, like I think asking her either for her number or like basically the intent of like he's gonna ask to like talk to her. And then we're like, okay, yeah, sure, go for it. He goes and he comes out, and then he basically explains the situation and says how like basically when he was talking to her when he was talking to her, he basically like asked her like he was talking to her, like doing small talk, and then he tried to like ask her to like hang out, and she was just like no. And like I think he like basically the way he explained it to like he basically was trying to talk to her, and basically she just wasn't interested, but she kind of had like a weird vibe of like her saying no, like he did something wrong. So then he explained the situation, and the way he explained it, he said, oh yeah, like he explained it like as if they seen each other a few times on campus, because he said we seen each other a few times on campus, we talked a few times, so I was thinking about like asking her to hang out. And we're like, yeah, sure. So then he comes back and basically essentially says that she basically just said no. So we're like, oh, okay, well, I mean, like, you did your best. Like, even I chimed in, I was like, oh, well, you did the best you could, like, you know, you can only do but so much about it. So like I was like, just don't stress it. So then he leaves, right? Why 5 to 10 minutes later, the same girl that he was talking to comes out the lounge, and she comes to us, and she goes, oh, did you know that, I'm guessing she saw him leave in that direction, so she came to ask us. She asked us if we knew the boy, and he just talked to us. We were like, oh yeah, we know him. And then she explained what happened, and then we were just like, oh, he was just like, because he said he saw you a few times on campus, you guys talked, and he just wanted to like see if you wanted to hang out with him. Then she goes, we talked like one time. She goes, we talked one time, and it was like a hi and bye situation. We talked for like maybe like 5 seconds. So this man just told us that he was talking to her a few times and they've had conversations, and in reality, she said we talked one time for like max 30 seconds. It wasn't a conversation. Like basically, they were in a position to where him asking her to like hang out was okay, or was like something that she would expect. On top of that, she goes into detail about how he asked her, because basically he asked if she wanted to come to his room for a drink. Now, because we are college students, and because when you're a woman, that's a red flag when a man asks you to go to their room for a drink, because you could get roofied and then assaulted. So of course she said, with that in mind, she said no, because that sounded weird. So when she explained, oh, not the freaking plastic bag drifting through the wind. Okay. Anyway, so when she explained to us how he asked her to hang out, we were looking at each other like, no wonder she said no, because this man looked like he was trying to drug her. And so then we explained, like, oh no, that's not what he meant. Like, he was just trying to ask you to just hang out, because the reason why he asked her was because he was trying to be a bartender. And he was studying to be a bartender to mix drinks and stuff. So that was a passion of his. And that's why he asked to hang out with her over a drink, because of his passion. But of course she wouldn't know that, because she doesn't know him as a person. So it looked weird to her. So when she explained that, we understood why she said no, and the way that she said no. Because we're like, no wonder, because she thought she was going to get roofied. Or like us, like, you know. So that's why she said no. And then we were looking at each other like, now it could have been just miscommunication, but the fact that he said that he's seen her a few times and they talked a few times and she said no, weird. And that's a common thing for like guys to do. And I feel like girls could do the same thing. Let's be real. Girls could do the same thing. But like, you hear it more often. It's more common for a guy to do it than a girl, basically. So that was just that situation. Now, there was another guy that I personally had interactions with. Oh, and I could go into other things about that person, but like that, I feel like, in all honesty, I could probably just talk about weird interactions I've had with men, like my personal weird interactions with men, specifically in college. I'll do that. I'll do a podcast episode about that, because that's really funny. And I could actually do that. Yeah, I could actually do that, like, literally today. Whatever. Anyway, so, so that happened. And then there was this guy that basically, he was just, I basically was just trying to tell him that, no. Like, there were multiple times where I would just tell him, oh, no, that's okay. And he would just keep going and keep asking me and keep asking me. And I'm like, no, I said no. No, I said no. No, I said no. Like, this was, I don't know if I want to really explain, like, the position that he had. He was essentially, in some form of my college years, he was my boss. Like, essentially, he was my boss. And I did an interview with him. He hired me. He was my boss, essentially. And with this guy, I remember, like, basically with my job, I was a night host in college all 4 years, different dorms. And this one year of my college career, one of my college years, he was, I told my boss that I had an interest in film. And this guy was a film major, so he was like, really excited. Obviously, you see someone with some passion, you'd be excited. I understand. So I told him this one thing about me in my interview, and homie held it to the grave. And I had nothing against this person, but it was just, the interactions I had with him were just uncomfortable. And I'm just like, do you not understand what's going on? Like, I'm like, can you not read the room? Like, sir. And I wasn't the only, and mind you, also when these happened to me, there was always someone else around that was equally uncomfortable, equally bothered as me. Now, why they didn't say anything, I'm not going to get into that, because I don't know. But like, I feel like there's certain situations where you're just too baffled to speak. And I think they were just too stunned to speak. They just didn't know what to do. So I can't, like, I wasn't in harm or in danger. It wasn't like my life was in danger. It was just uncomfortable situations that, like, if I was seeing my friend in, depending on the mood, I would chime in, unless they knew how to handle themselves, whatever the case may be. But anyway, so there was this guy, my boss. I told him I had an interest in film, and this is like the first, we're like meeting all the like night hosts, and we had like basically an intro meeting, like get to know everyone. And this is when I met my two friends that I ended up hanging out with for like the first full semester of that year. And so we meet, right? the meeting's over. So me and my two friends, like we're talking, we're chatting, and then my boss, he goes, oh hey, so like there's this like film festival that's going on, and like they often have volunteers like if they want to come and help out with the festival. Like, oh, do you want to come? Like, I can like drive you there. And because I don't know this man, and because I personally am weird with men, which I'll probably, I have an idea as to why, but I personally cannot explain that reason. But essentially, I'm weird around men, and I'm with around men up until I have to correct them and check them. Then I have no problem. I don't care who you are. But when it just comes to just interacting with men, I'm often 80% of the time weird. And it's not because of society and what women have to go through. It's a whole different reason. But anyway, so he asked about this festival, and I said, oh no, like that's okay, like I appreciate it though. And then he asks me again. Then he goes, oh no, it's just a festival, like, you know, we do volunteers. Like, I can drive it, there's no worries. And the reason why I said no is because I didn't want to be in the car by myself with the man I just met recently. Yeah, he's my boss, and like he shouldn't do anything to hurt me, but I just was like, I don't really know you like that, so like, thanks but no thanks. And essentially that's what he did. And he was just like, oh, but like, no, it's okay, I can drive it, like, it's fine. And I was like, oh no, that's okay. So I said no twice. The 2 co-workers are in the room while this is happening, mind you. So then, like a minute later, he asks me, he like talks about it again, and then asks me a 3rd time. And I was just like, what part of no do you not understand? I said no twice already. So I said no again. And I was like, oh no, that's okay, thanks. And then he was like, oh, okay. And after 3 times of saying no, then he finally left me alone. And I was like, when he left, I looked at my friends, and they looked at me, and they were like, what was that? I'm like, bro, I don't freaking know. Like, freaking, you asking me? I'm trying to figure that out myself. Like, I don't know. So it was weird. It was weird. And I think I had another weird interaction with him, which I'll save for the next podcast episode. But yeah, so it was just like, I just told him no, like 3 different times, and this man did not. He was just like, oh, but like I can do it. And I was like, no, that's okay, thanks. And then he was like, oh, but like I can take you. And I was like, no, that's okay, thanks. He was like, oh, but I can take you. And I was like, no, that's okay, thanks. And yeah, and I'm just like, okay. But yeah, and I was just like annoyed. So, those are just like the silly, goofy ways of just like how men are just annoying sometimes. And obviously, like I said, women can be annoying too. We get it. But like, when a man's annoying, it's because like they are told by society that they have the right to speak their mind and to like if a woman says no, they can ask again anyway. Like, a no is a maybe until we scream and shout or act like an animal for you to get the hint that our no means no. Like, well, I should not have to tell you 3 times that I said no. Like, I should not have had to do that, but of course I had to. And then, like, not all men are like that, but it was just like, I just didn't understand that. So, there's one, like, serious situation that happened to me when I was, like, 14. And, it's not funny. This situation isn't funny. It's just, I'm trying to figure out how. I said it's serious because this is something that, like, other people experience 10 times worse. And it's, like, not to say that because I got a little bit of an experience that, like, it's no experience at all. And, like, I don't have the right to acknowledge that it's something that, like, definitely could be scary. Because it can lead to worse things. But, essentially, in society, there's a lot of men in this world that feel like they have the right to assault women, whether physically, sexually, or both. And they think that it's okay because women are their property and they get to do whatever they want. And they get to harass women and do whatever they want. The prime example with the guy, I had to tell him no 3 times just for going to a festival. Like, if a girl says no to a guy, then they'll keep... Oh, another situation with me saying no to a guy when they were specifically actually trying to flirt. I was 17 and I was working at a job. I was working retail. Oh, I was working at Walgreens. I can say it. I was working at Walgreens. And the Walgreens that I worked at is now closed, so it's whatever. I was working at Walgreens, and I think I was stalking something. I was doing something at work, and basically, there was a guy that, like, saw me, and I'm guessing he thought I was cute, and he wanted to talk to me. So, he came up to me, and I think he tried to ask me about, like, an item or something, like, if there was something, basically trying to act like he needed help. So, I was just like, I think I gave him the help, and then he tries to talk to me, and tries to get my number. And I was like, oh, no, sorry, like, I'm at work right now. And then he was like, oh, so I can't get your number? And I was like, no. And then he was just like, he just stood there. And I was just like, I gotta go to work. Like, I'm doing work right now, so I'm gonna go do my work. And then eventually he left. But it was just like, I get it, you know, you're trying to flirt with someone, and, like, you know, they said no to you, so you kind of like, rejection. But for you to, like, you asked me for my number, and I politely said no. Then you're just going to stand there and just be like, oh, so I can't get your number? Like, if I said no, then no, you can't get my number. I don't want you to have my number because I just wasn't interested in it. Like, I didn't want to, no. I didn't want your number. Like, I didn't want your number, and I didn't want you having mine. Like, no. And then after like 2 times of him just staying there, like being like, oh, so I can't get your number? And I was like, no. Then he left. But it was just like, why did it have to happen 2 times? Then there was this other time that a guy was trying to hit on me. This happened like, I think recently. Like, I think earlier this year or late last year. No, it happened almost a year ago. But it happened, this is the recent, not the recent, but like one recent time of me getting hit on. I was on the train. I think I was going to a library or a bookstore. I was going out to do homework. I think I was going to a bookstore. And I was out, and I was on the train, and this guy sits next to me. And then he goes, I was on the 2 train. Then he goes, oh, does this train go to Flatbush Avenue or Brooklyn? Like, he asked if this train goes to Flatbush Avenue. And I said, whenever someone asks for directions, in general, I always say I don't know, because let's be real, I don't know. Like, you would think after 23 years of living in New York City, I would know at least some directions. But I have such an issue with directions, with or without a map. I have direction issues. Like, I'm directionally ignorant. Like, I just have problems with directions. I don't know if it's the way how my brain works, or I can't process things. I process things differently. I'm not gonna get into that. But yeah, so when it comes to directions, I can't give you an answer. I'm sorry. So 9 times out of 10, I don't help people with directions because I'm like, no, sorry, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to tell you about that. I'm sorry. So because he said that, I said, oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. But then, no, mind you, also, I have on headphones. Over the headphones, I'm listening to music. So he sees me, and then he goes, oh, miss. Oh, excuse me, miss. Like, you see someone with headphones. You know to usually just either ask someone else or leave them alone. But he saw I have headphones on, and he was like, oh, hey. And then he called my attention, and then he asked me the question. I said, I don't know. Then I look at the train map, and I see on the thing, and I'm like, I'm stupid because Flatbush Avenue is the last stop on the train. So I felt dumb. But then I thought about it, and I was like, wait a minute. This is the last stop on the train. So why would he ask me for directions if it's on the map that it says it goes to Flatbush? So I was like, okay, so I'm not that stupid, because he also, if I'm stupid, then so is he, because he asked me, and it's right there. So then I was like, okay. So then, I don't know if he was just trying to hear my voice. He hear me speak or something. I don't know. Or maybe he was trying to get to see my face fully. I don't know what this man was trying to do. Because a few stops later, I was getting off the train. And as I'm getting off the train, he stands up. I'm standing up to get off. And he stands up. And he comes to me and he goes, oh, hey, can I get your number? And I was like, oh, no. I was like, no. And then he just stares at me. And I was like, oh, no, I'm sorry. And then he stares at me. Then I was wearing a necklace. And then he looks at my necklace, and it had a gold piece to it. And he goes, is that gold real? And I was like, I'm going to go. Because I'm just like, what was the purpose of asking me that? Like, what, you going to steal it? Or are you going to roast me because it's fake? If it was fake, I was like, I'm going to go. And I just left. Because I was like, what the hell was that? Like, what? You just told me, you asked me for my number. I said no. So you decide to ask me if my chain is real? Be freaking for real. What? So I was just like, okay. And I was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to leave. So I got off the train. And then I was just like, hello? That was weird. So the situation that I wanted to talk about, like I said, was when I was 14, I was in the bus. I was in the bus going home. And I was in the 6 bus going home. And there was a crowded bus. And usually when you go home, it's rush hour because everyone's either leaving work or leaving school. So the bus was crowded. So I'm on the bus. I'm listening to music, mind my business. And I felt something on my back. And I was just like, this feels weird. So then I kept feeling it. So then I look. And then there's this guy next to me. So I look, and the guy looked like I looked around to see what was going on. So I checked my pockets, and my phone was in my back pocket. So I just checked my pockets, and I was just like, okay, whatever. So then I noticed the guy that was next to me. He looked suspicious. So he's right next to me, and I'm just there. And then he looked suspicious, so I was like, okay. Then I get the feeling again. So then I turn to the guy, and this time I catch him in the act, and I'm like, can you stop touching me? And then he was like scared, and then the next stop he got off and like ran away. Basically what happened in that situation, he was touching my butt, and I don't know if he was trying to pickpocket me, but I highly doubt it. I feel like it was just him just trying to give a grab, cop a feel, or even if he was trying to rob me, he robbed me on the crowded bus. Like, you look stupid. So basically, I mean, that's usually the way how people could pickpocket without being caught, because it's like, you know, you could think, oh, it's just a crowded bus. I don't think anything of it. But basically, that happened. And in that moment, I was like, I'm 14 at the time. This is my first time ever having something like that happen to me at all. And I was pretty spooked, obviously, because, you know, that was scary. And then I told my parents about it. Obviously, my dad was pissed because he just hears about a man touching his daughter. Like, come on, who wouldn't be mad? So I told my parents, but then it didn't happen again. I didn't see that guy again. But just the fact that happened to me at such a young age, and at that same age, at 14, unfortunately, I know people that have been sexually assaulted by men in their lives, like a father, an uncle, or whatever the case may be, or just like people in their school. And it's so upsetting just to like have that happen and to be so common in women. And yes, it does happen in men, and with sexual assault, I do know that like with men, sometimes because of how often it happens to women, men can, when it happens to them, they get belittled, get told that like it's embarrassing that it happens to them, that it shouldn't have happened to them, especially if it was a woman. Well, it doesn't even matter if it was a woman or a man, because if it was a woman, they'll call them weak. If it was a man, they'll think it's weird because like, oh, you got assaulted by a man, whatever. Whatever the case may be, a lot of men, when this happens to them, it doesn't get talked about enough. So I do acknowledge that. I do acknowledge that that's an issue. But what I'm referring to right now is how often and how common it is for women to be treated this way, to have this happen to them. And I remember in middle school, one of my friends was as a victim, and a boy knew about it and decided to make fun of her for it. Like, basically it was like, oh, and that's why that happened to you. Like, and I was so baffled. Like, we were like 11, 12 years old, and I was just like, that's supposed to be your friend, and you're over here like making a joke, or like trying to make it like as if the thing that happened to her was her fault. Like, it was so insensitive and it was so ridiculous. Like, me and my friends went off on him, rightfully so, because it's like, how dare you make a joke out of something traumatic as that? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, you have no soul. Like, it was so disheartening and just so disrespectful and rude for him to even do that, and it was just annoying. And I was just so baffled that he even thought to even do that, and then did it. Like, he thought that it was funny and cute that he did that. And I'm like, no, you're a disrespectful little twat, and now we're going to tell you about it, make fun of you, and just, like, not to make fun of you, like, respectfully call you out and tell you how much of a bad person you are for saying that. Like, it was so rude. And it's just like, it's stuff like that. And then when a woman tries to speak their opinion and say their piece, men always have something to say. Like, men always got a comment, a problem, always want to be like, oh, women do this, women do that, but then don't want to help us solve the situation. Like, prime example, let's say it's a case of, oh, women always want to wear makeup and all this and that, like they don't want to be natural, or like they'll be like, oh, one swipe on your face and your face is gone, oh, your makeup is gone. Like, is it that, like, oh, of course if you swipe my face, my makeup's gonna come off, because you're not supposed to swipe the makeup off until you're done for the whole day, you idiot. 1, 2, like, why are you trying to touch my face when you know I have makeup on? Like, you look and sound stupid. Like, stop being a literal child and act your age. Like, come on. And then y'all want to have the audacity to complain about how women take long to do stuff, but then don't help me solve the problem. Like, if you're complaining about how I have to do all this stuff and I take forever, and you're not helping me do any of it, why are you speaking? Like, shut up. Like, it's so annoying and agitating that men will have the audacity to complain about women when they, like, like, they have the audacity to complain about women, but then are part of the problem, and then on top of that, don't want to help me solve an issue. Like, let's say you want to talk about how women don't know how to drive, but yeah, you won't teach me how to drive, and if you teach me, you have no patience, your angel's on cloud 9, and it's just like, you are the worst teacher in the world, but you want to complain about how I don't know how to drive? Shut up, you sound stupid, shut up. Like, you genuinely sound stupid. And then like, I'm getting mad because it's just like, it's annoying. And then it's just like, and like, since like in the beginning of time, freaking people want to be like, oh, women are emotional, they don't know how to keep their emotions intact and this and that. And it's just like, oh, when they're on their periods, that like they're emotional, they're irrational, and they're a hot mess. And it's like, yeah, because my hormones are going haywire. I'm having cramps 24/7. And then on top of that, it's just like, whenever women are going through their periods, they have more testosterone going on in their body. So essentially, I'm technically acting more like a man with my hormones. So I'm acting like you. So you want to talk about how I'm emotional and how I'm irrational, but yet in reality, my hormones are acting more like a man than a woman. So if you want to be rational, I'm actually acting more like you. So you're just looking in the mirror when you see me acting out of character. Anyway, and that's that situation. And I feel like a lot of times you would hear about how like aggressive men are. And I think part of it is just because men are told that they're allowed to, like, it's a masculine trait to be angry. It's a masculine trait to be aggressive. It's a masculine trait to be assertive. So then when a woman does it, it's a problem. They're the B word. They're obnoxious. They're trying to be like a man. When in reality, I'm just trying to show you that sometimes an assertive situation is necessary. Now, being aggressive, most of the times, I'm not gonna lie, people are aggressive is not necessary. They just lack patience. So it's like they don't have patience, so they get angry and they just go crazy. Because it's like, if you had the patience, you'd be slow to anger. But you don't have patience, or you don't know what you're doing. And because you're trying your best, you're getting frustrated, and that's when you're yelling and screaming. Because you know how many times I see on TikTok about how when people, like, they'll have to ask their parents for help with, like, homework. And because their parents don't know how to help them with homework, they start screaming, yelling at them, and then the kid's crying because they can't do a math problem. But the parents don't know how to help them. It's crazy. But essentially, my problem is that I just don't understand why men will constantly complain about women. And then it's like, oh, but like, and then when women are like, oh, we want to have equal rights. We want to just be equals to man. Oh, so that means I get to hit you, right? Why is that your only scenario to be equal? So you can hit me. I mean, me personally, I'm like, go ahead and touch me. I triple dog dare you to touch me. Go ahead, put your hands on me. Go ahead, do it. Because I have a history of my hands being ready to eat for everyone. Like, I personally am like, if you hit me, I am going all out on you. I'm doing the whole thing. Like, literally the other day, like on Thursday, last week Thursday, I went to a concert and I almost fought a man. I didn't almost fight him. I was thinking about it. Because he was just all over his girlfriend, like wrapping his arm around her, and there was no space for that. And I was like, dude, there's no space. I'm in the pit. There's no space for you to be doing all that when we have no space for that. I'm like, dude, you're being ridiculous. And I was just like, if I say something and this man tries to be like intimidated on me, do I have a chance if he tries to hit me? Like, I was legit thinking that. I was like, if this man, like, if I say something and he tries to like defend his girl and it's like, oh, we back off of her, leave her alone. I'm like, listen, dude, I don't know who you're talking to, but I ain't the one that you're trying to mess with. If you're trying to intimidate me, I ain't the one. I will fight you. I will put my hands on you. I was like, okay, we're the same height. We're the same height. Like, if I have enough anger, I can beat them up. Like, I'm not kidding. I was thinking that. Because sometimes you kind of have to, like, do that. Like, you have to show men that, like, you can't be bothered. You can't be messed with. And like I said, every time when I've had to freaking check someone, it was mostly a man. Because sometimes men think that they could just say or do whatever they want. And then when you show them, you're not going to be bothering me. Then they're like, oh. Then they leave you alone. And then they'll bother either your friends or you see them bothering other women. And it's like, yo, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you doing that? Like, that's so unnecessary. It's so uncalled for and so not needed. Like, what are you doing? So I understand the whole, basically, I think this whole podcast is a rant about men. Because men are annoying, bro. Men are so annoying. Not all, but most. Like, it just baffles me. Because sometimes men will have the literal audacity to say things. Like, I'm going to say this. There's one thing that I know, that when a man complains about how long it takes for a woman to get ready, here's my thing. If you don't gotta do your hair, do makeup, have a nice outfit, and do other things that women have to do, all within the span of either an hour, less, more, I don't want to hear nothing from you. I want to hear your mouth closed and never open again. Because people will get ready. They'll do two things. They'll get dressed, shower, maybe if they wanted to. Like, society allows men to be musty and dusty. Like, if a man pulls up in sweats and a beanie, they're considered normal. But if a girl dresses up like that, they're considered lazy, boyish. Oh, they look raggedy. But a man, as their standard is raggedy. But a woman's standard is, like, you have to be top tier all the time. So, excuse me if I have to take extra time to make sure I uphold to society's beauty standards so I won't get called a rag doll in public. 1. 2, you want me to look so pretty, but then you're complaining about how long I'm taking to get ready. Like, if we get ready at the same time, and you get ready quicker than me, and now you're trying to wait for me to get ready. First of all, if I take so long, why would you get ready with me at the same time? Get ready after me. Like, let's say we're in the same area, or like, let's say we said to get here at like 7 o'clock, and I ended up showing up late because I had to get ready. Oh, I'm sorry, I had to get ready. Now, there's some people that sometimes you tell them a certain time, and they will get there like an hour late, and it is annoying because I have friends like that I'm like, all right, let's get ready at 7. They'll come up at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And I'm like, bro, I said 7, not 12. Like, why are you showing up so late? And it's just because they just have bad time management, I think. But if it has something to do with you getting ready, in the sense of like getting like dressed and getting ready, because then they'll always like make a comment about like women and how long it takes to get ready. But it's just like, all you have to do is put on clothes and maybe fix your hair. Maybe, if that. If you have 2 inches of hair, like, and if you have long hair, I'm pretty sure a woman did it. So, like, I don't want to hear nothing. Like, I genuinely want to hear nothing come out of a man's mouth when it comes to women getting ready. Because it's like, it's the audacity that you guys have when you don't have the same beauty standards and expectations of women. You don't have to take an hour and a half to get ready, do your makeup and do all that so you can fit society standards and be called pretty. Because all you have to do is just put clothes on. And maybe do your hair. Slick your hair back with gel. Or, like, with your spit. Because you guys can do whatever you want. Like, society lets you guys get off easy in the sense of you don't have to do as much with certain things sometimes. And it's just like, it's just ridiculous. And it's just like, some men don't have any patience for women, but yeah, you want to date women, you want to have a wife, you want to have a mother to your children, but yeah, you don't have the patience to deal with a woman. And it's just like, it's frustrating, it's annoying, and it's just like, I wish men that don't have patience would develop patience, would learn how to have patience, because it don't make no sense that you want a wife but you can't handle a woman. It'll make no sense. It'll make no sense. Like, you want a girl to call you Bobby. Like, who? You want me to call you Bobby, but yeah, if we have a child, you abandon me? That's the person that should be calling you Poppy, because that's your little child, not me. I'm not your child. I'm your partner. What's wrong with you? Freaking nasty. Like, oh my goodness. The amount of times that boys will try to be like, oh, can you call me Poppy? I'm like, delete. Like, no, I will never call you that. The only man that I called that was my dad, and I stopped saying that at age 12. I'm not saying that again. Like, no. Was there ever an exception? If there was a celebrity, I'm not going to get into who the celebrity was, but there wasn't such at the time. But he's no longer that such anymore. Not because he's bad. I'm no longer as attractive anymore because he's getting older. He's just more adorable. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, I understand why women say all men are trash, because in reality, the way how, like, literally a woman rejecting a man can get them killed or abused or assaulted. How many times you see a woman get assaulted by a man and somehow it's the woman's fault? Oh, they should have known better. Oh, well, why would they be around that guy? Oh, see, we told them not to be around them. It's somehow the woman's fault that they got assaulted by a man when they had no control of that. And it's just like, women get blamed for men's problems. Like, if a man's impatient, it's the woman's responsibility to help make them become a patient person. Like, let's say there's a couple going, and there's a man that has no patience, and he's constantly angry, he's constantly doing this and that. They'll look at the woman like, yo, control him. Like, can you, like, calm him down? And it's like one thing to be like, oh, like, that's your partner, so you can know how to speak to him. But some people have the expectation that, like, it's your job to, like, have your man calm down. And it's like, no, it's not. That's his responsibility. He's his own person. And then on top of that, it's just like, when men expect women to be, like, catering to their every need, but yet don't even know how to give them, like, respect as a person. Like, you expect to have a housewife, but yet you can't even afford to pay bills. You want to be able to bang every chick on the block, but then complain when the woman has the same standard. when they want to sleep with people, all of a sudden they're the slut. But then a man, like literally, I remember one time I made a TikTok. There was this guy on TikTok, and he was making such misogynistic comments about women. And then I was just like, he said, I made it like a duet. If you don't know what a duet is, basically it's like when you respond to someone's video, but like their video will be on one side, and then your response to them will be directly next to it. That's what a duet is. I did a duet to a guy's video, and I was just like, oh, like it's crazy, like you wanna like when a woman sleeps with more than one guy, they get called a slut. But then when a man sleeps with multiple women, they get called a player. Like they get called a player as in a good thing. And then I was like, it's crazy how when a woman does the same thing that a man does, they get degraded and get called names. But then when a man does it, it's fine. And then he was like, you got me there. I'm not even gonna complain about that. And it was like, yeah, because you know you're so stupid. Like literally, like if a man sleeps with a bunch of women, it's fine for them. But then when a woman does it, it's a problem. And I even have like some women that like agree with that standard. That like, oh, it's okay for a woman. Like a woman can't sleep with more than one guy, because then there's like that slutty behavior. Like if you're gonna call me a slut, at least call the man a slut too. Because first of all, the fact that a slut is associated with women. Like if you want to call a man a slut, you have to call him a man slut. And that's how you know they literally created a word specifically to degrade women. Like if a woman sleeps with a bunch of people, it's their slut. And even in history, women are constantly being degraded by men. Literally, the beginning of America, when slavery was happening, black women were constantly black women were constantly assaulted by their masters. And then it was a daily normal thing, either assaulted or just harassed constantly until they got their way. And then white women weren't even allowed to be considered citizens because of their biology, because of them having hormones. They're not allowed to be able to make decisions for themselves, therefore they shouldn't be allowed to be citizens. And that's why women didn't have rights until the 1920s. So it's just like women had to fight for their rights. And you know what's crazy? I remember one time seeing I think a TikTok about some guy being like, like you want to complain about how men don't agree with women, or how men don't like women. Oh, but like when women had to fight for their rights, who gave it to them? Men. And it's just like, yeah, because like, yeah, of course men are going to be the one that gave women's rights, because men were the only people in office. The reason why we had to ask permission for rights is because men were the only ones that had the right to make decisions, because women at the time weren't even considered citizens. They weren't even allowed. That's why they couldn't vote, because they weren't allowed to be citizens. Like they were humans, but they weren't citizens. So of course men had to give us the rights, because like it was just like, I was baffled. And mind you, it was a black man. I was like, bro, I can't. I'm not going to get into black men being misogynistic against black women. The amount of times, no, I am going to get into it. The amount of times I see black men be like, oh, they hate black women, I'm just looking at them like, who's your mother? Because your mother ain't white. I mean, the mother can be white, but 9 times out of 10, most of them black men that be talking down about black women be having a black mother. I'm like, it's crazy how you talking all this smack about black women. Who's your mother? Let me get her number and call her and show the video that she be having of her. Like, what is wrong with y'all? And I really do believe that some men, the reason why they have such problems with women is because maybe they have mommy issues, and they just don't have therapy to go to for it. So they take it out on women. Or they had an abusive father figure that either told them that it's okay to abuse women, or weren't in their lives, so they don't know how to treat women, so they just treat them in the wrong way. So whatever the case may be, they have mommy or daddy issues, or they have issues in some degree, and that's why they degrade women. Because men that were raised by a lot of women, like let's say there's like a guy that like has like all sisters, like let's say they have like 3 sisters, and then like they're the only boy in that situation. Like it's a family of 6, and there are 3 sisters and like a mom and a dad. That man is more likely to have respect for women than a guy that just was raised by like that has like either all brothers, or like has like a younger sister, or like one older sister. They're more likely to, no, actually correction, they're more likely, like when you have a younger sibling, a younger sister, or if you have an older sister, or if you have multiple sisters, you're more likely to treat women with respect, because that sister is going to make sure, the sisters and the mother are going to make sure that you treat women with respect. Because me, One thing, my brother ain't gonna be a disrespectful black man. Like, he's 10 right now, but like, I always tell him, like, make sure you be, because he be telling me stories about his school, and the girls in school are not nice sometimes. I'm not gonna hold you, they're not nice. But I'm like, just don't be rude to girls, and like, don't be disrespectful, and don't be those boys that are like really rude to girls, because that's not, even if they are being mean to you, doing it to them is gonna make you just as bad as them, and that, like, two wrongs don't make it right. So you be the respectful person in this situation all the time. And if you have to defend yourself, then do so when you have to defend yourself. So he was like, okay. And then obviously, and my mama is not gonna raise no boy that's disrespectful to women. But also, even my dad would not. He doesn't disrespect women at all. Like, he knows not to do that because he was raised by an independent woman. So it's like, when men are raised by a single mother that's like a strong independent woman, or is raised by multiple sisters, they are more likely to respect women because they are being shown how to respect women. But then it's like, when it's a guy that has an abusive father, or that's a father figure, and the woman did the best they could but couldn't do that much, and if they have mommy issues, then they're more likely to be disrespectful to women. Because like I said, it don't make no sense why these men be having the comments they have about black women. It's like, bro, you're supposed to be an ally. Like, you know the amount of times a black man will be like, I don't date black women, I only date white women. I'm like, okay, we don't want you either. Like, ew. And I remember seeing this like TikTok of a I forgot, I think it was like a Jubilee video of like basically a guy, like a woman, there'll be 6 women seeing a guy, and then they'll like have a balloon, and they'll pop the balloon if they don't want the guy anymore. So there was this guy that came, and he like basically, I think he said his age or something. He said like a few information about him. Like, a guy was interviewing him saying, okay, say your name and age, whatever. So he said his name and age, and I think he said a few things about himself. And the girl had a balloon and she popped it. But when she popped it, it like startled her. She said, oh, sorry. And then he goes, oh, why are you getting scared? Settle down. Like, get yourself situated or something like that. And when the girls heard that, they were like, pop. All the girls popped the balloon. They were like, one thing you're not going to do is be disrespectful. Like, they saw him being rude to one girl, so they all looked like, no, pop. They all popped their balloon because they was like, one thing we're not going to date is a disrespectful man. And on top of that, first of all, the first red flag for that guy was when he went to go look at them, I'm pretty sure he was looking at their chests. Like, because he was like looking at them and looking down. And I'm like, that was the first red flag. I would have been like, pop, like, why are you looking at my chest for? Like, you going to date me only because of my chest? No. So then he said what he said, and then everyone else popped their balloons because they were like, And then the guy that was interviewing him, he messed up because he was like, bro, that was not the move to make. That was not the move to make. So yeah, I was like, oof, you messed up on that one, buddy. You really messed up on that one. But anyway, yeah. So that was that situation, and then I just remember seeing that. But then, so I've been talking for a while. I'm gonna conclude this episode. Essentially, the reason why I understand is because with my personal experience with just boys thinking that they could just talk to you however they want, and then you have to check them. You have to basically be on their level to show you I'm not. Because one thing I don't like is being disrespected. I'm like, if anything, I'm not the one. I've shown several times in my personal life how many times, like even at my new job, there was this guy that like asked me for something, and the tone that he asked me in, I was like, no. Like, one thing you're not going to do is be rude to me like that in that situation. Like, no, sorry. And then I think I was just like, no. And then he walked away, and then he realized that, like, I already did something he asked for. And then he was like, oh, thanks. And I was like, yeah, leave. But I would just say, one thing I don't tolerate from both and all genders, I don't tolerate disrespect. Especially from a man. Because of how common it is for men to disrespect women. Like, I don't take disrespect from women either. But more, like I said, the most of the times that I've had to correct people in my life, whether it was students or teachers, it was mostly men. The amount of teachers that were men, 1, 2, 3, 4 teachers. There was 2 female teachers. So 6 teachers in total that I've either had arguments with or like talked bad to. 2 of them were female. And then life situations. The boy in middle school and 8th grade, both the boys in 8th grade. Well, one was in 8th grade, one was a 7th grader. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I don't think there's that many more. I think that's it. Like, guys wise. Oh no, the guy in college, my boss in college. There was someone else. No, I'm gonna get into this in another podcast episode, but there was like 2 boys that were obnoxious in my class. I only checked one of them though, so I'm gonna do 5. And now in total, I would say there was a girl. I did have to like kind of get up a little bit low key. That girl, I think. Okay. I'm not gonna count this one. There was a special ed kid that did try to fight me, but I didn't hit him. He was just trying to fight me, and I was just like, whoa, what's going on? I'm not gonna count that though. But yeah, so I would say again, 6 situations where I had to confront people, and 5 of them were men, boys, kids, like. So anyway, yeah, no, actually 7 times, 6, because like 5 were boys, and then 1 was that guy that touched me in the bus, and then, yeah, it was just obnoxious. Like I just don't enjoy. It's just annoying being a woman, and it's just like, like being a woman in society, you have to deal with men so much. Like literally, whenever I walk past groups of men, I always, like, I have the meanest face in the world, and I am like ready to fight someone just in case, because I'm like, if there's gonna be one thing I'm not gonna do is be a victim to men trying to assault me or trying to check me or trying to intimidate me, because I will go to your level even higher. Because one thing my parents didn't raise was no child. That was wrong. One thing my parents didn't raise was no punk. Now I know they may think I'm a punk eccentric bitch because of my anxiety, whatever, I don't care. But that's not being a punk, that's being anxious. But when it comes to like confrontations, if I'm feeling disrespected, I will step up to the plate. I will be like, yeah, no, I'm going to tell you about yourself, and I don't care if you get mad, because that's a personal problem that I don't care about. But yeah, so now the reason why I say it's problematic, the only reason why is because men for the longest time in history have degraded women in all aspects. Biology, just the common knowledge of just like accepting a no for a no, and just understanding women and being respectful. All, you name it, men have done it all in history. Now, there's a common thing now in current society where women are like, I don't need a man, I'm independent, I could be all on my own. And the reason why people say, like, people look, and it's kind of sad that like women that see other women have that mindset, they look down upon them, because it's like, they're like, oh, like, here you are thinking that you all that, but like, you like, oh, like, I don't need a man, it's not blah blah. And it's just like, that's their mindset. I understand why, because we women have been shown time and time again that there's rarely any man that we can trust. It's far and few. There's men we can trust, they do exist, but it's far and few. And when you get shown by so many men that they can't be trusted, it takes a lot much more time and effort to trust a man, to identify a good man in your life. But then that's why women generalize and say men. But then when you say all men are trash, that's not a generalization. That's stating every single man on the planet is bad and is trash. And that's just not true. Now, when you say men are trash, that's a generalization. That doesn't mean every single man, though. That just means the majority of men are trash. But that doesn't mean that every man. But also, when women say that, you can tell they're saying it from a place of hurt and from personal experience. Like, all the men they've dealt with have been trash, or men are trash. And when you say all men, there's no open circle for generalization and to say, well, there's some men that aren't that bad. You're just saying every single man. And that's the only part, because it's like, the reason why I say it's problematic is just because when you make statements like that, you're acting just like they were to us. We didn't like how they treated us that way when they basically said, oh, women were trash. Because when men said women are trash, they treated every single woman in their life like garbage, like legit. They didn't say certain women. They treated every woman bad, and they felt it to their chest, because they felt like they had the right to do so. They felt like they were superior to women. And even in religion, they think because God said for Eve to be submissive to Adam, that means that you get to walk all over a woman. When in reality, when Eve is supposed to be submissive to Adam, Adam is supposed to be the head of the household, the head person. When you're the head of the household, that means you're the person that takes care of everybody else. So essentially, men are supposed to take care of women, not belittle and degrade them, and have a woman take care of you. So it's like you want a housewife because you want a woman to take care of you, but in reality, you're supposed to take care of them. You're supposed to be the one that's like, when you're the breadwinner, you're supposed to be financially taking care of them, and then the woman helps you by being the person that takes care of the house in these situations. But instead, men turn it to, oh, I'm the man of the house, so this way I get to do whatever I want, I get to talk to you whatever I want, and you're going to sit there and listen, or else I'm going to make you listen by either verbally or physically abusing you, or both. And that's not how it should be. That's not how it should work. And a lot of men think that it's okay to just degrade and belittle and tell women that they're not allowed to have certain titles, they're not allowed to be a position, to have a role, because women aren't supposed to have roles. And there's a lot of that in the church too, which is kind of crazy, because they'll say women can't be this, but it's like, where in the Bible does it say women can't be this? Like, where? Because last time I checked, there were prophets that were women and men. There were other roles in the church that were women and men. And it's very, unfortunately, even misogyny, it relates to church, because when there's female pastors get a lot of slander because they're a female pastor. And it's crazy, because they're like, oh, you're not supposed to be a pastor, it's only a man's job. And I'm just like, babes, talk to God, read the Bible. I'm not going to get into that now my head looking crazy. I'm not going to get into that with you, because clearly, you just gotta deal with that on your own, because that's just a conversation I don't want to have. But yeah, a woman experienced a lot of misogyny against, and it's stemmed from men, and then women that participate in it, it's because they were either brainwashed or just that was all they were taught. So they believe in the misogyny, and then they portray it on other women as well, which is why when women can call other women sluts and think that it's okay to do that, when in reality it's like, we're not a slut, we're just doing the same thing a man does, but now when we do, it's a problem. It's hypocritical. So, but the reason why I say it shouldn't be something to be said, I understand why people say it. So when I hear people say, oh, men are trash, I'm not here like, oh, here we go again. I understand, I get it, I get why you would say that, because like I said, I've had my own personal experiences with men and how annoying and obnoxious they were, and I have friends that have, like I said, been assaulted, that were victims to men when they were aggressive, and I've seen men be aggressive, and I've had my experiences with aggressive men, and it wasn't cute, funny, and pretty, and it was annoying and obnoxious, but it was just like, some people you gotta just check, and some people, because their position, you can't really check them, especially when you're young, so you can only do but so much. But it's just like, I understand, I get why that phrase is being said. The only reason why I say it shouldn't be said is because we're just doing the same thing that men. Now, women are becoming more independent, and women are fighting for equal rights, they're fighting for equal pay, they're fighting for the same standards that men, we just want the same thing that men have. We just want to also be paid we want to be paid your dollar to, why am I getting paid 70 cents to your dollar? We work the same job, same position, but I get paid less because of my gender. That makes no sense. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's crazy, and it shouldn't be a thing. But it is a thing, because men don't want women to have the same opportunities as them. Because the minute a woman has the same opportunity as a man does, a lot of the times women do it better. And when men see that, some men, they see that and they're like, oh, that's competition, let's make it to where they can't do it. There's been studies that have been shown when women are put in a position of power, they are more successful, because now they have the opportunity to do just as well as men that they didn't have before. And it's not to say that women are better than men, because women handle a lot more than men. Women handle a lot of different things. But it's not to say that women are better, because I can make a joke about women are better than men. But in reality, women and men are equal. We both have our own set of standards and boundaries and struggles, and it shouldn't be one's better than the other. We were never meant to be one over the other. We're meant to be side by side. We're meant to be equal. That's why God made Eve off of Adam's rib, not Adam's foot or toe. You're not meant to walk all over me. I'm meant to be right beside you. I'm meant to be your equal. You need ribs to breathe. Your ribs are behind your lungs, right? You need your lungs to breathe. You have 2 ribs, 2 lungs. So why is it that I can't be your equal? You know what I mean? So it's just that's why women feel like they need to do above and beyond and say they're independent, because now they don't have a good example of men in their life. And when people see that, instead of trying to help them understand, or tell them that's not all men, and help them find a good example, they just look down upon them, or they'll just be like, oh, it's sad that you don't know a good man, so like you can't even accept one. Now, if you're the therapist telling them, that's different, because you have the skills and tools to show them how to learn how to accept love. But if you don't have the education to show people how to do that, you don't have the right to you don't have the right to judge them. First of all, you shouldn't be judging anybody, because I'm pretty sure you have your own flaws. But if you're going to talk about someone's issues, the least you can do is help them solve it. Like, I cannot stand people that will have all these comments in the world in general about people and then don't help them have a solution. You wanna talk up and down about everything you know about me, but then give me no solution. Like, you're stupid. Like, just shut your mouth. Like, it's so agitating seeing people, they'll critique people left and right, up and down, 24/7. But then it's like, okay, so how do you solve that problem? Oh, I don't know. So just shut up. Like, why are you giving an opinion about someone when you don't have a solution? Like, it makes no sense. But yeah, case in point, the reason why I don't think it should be a phrase set is just because we're doing the same thing. We're becoming them, in the sense of we're treating men like garbage, we're treating every man like trash, and we're starting to belittle men, and we didn't like what was happening to us, so we shouldn't do it to them. Because it's one thing if you're doing it to show them how it feels to have that happen to them, but then when they get the message, stop. But then women, they think that's the model, that's the way how to go. And then when a woman wants to like either depend on a man or they want to be equal to a man, women will look down upon that and be like, oh, the fact that you have a boyfriend, oh, that's childish, that's not feminist, that's not. And it's just like, oh, you're taking it too far, babes. You're going too far. You was having the right moment and then you left. You lost the motive. But yeah, okay, so it's now 9:30. I can leave this parking spot because I have to go somewhere else. I have to do two things. So I'm gonna go head over there. How do I get there? I don't know how to get there from where I want to go, from where I'm at right now. I really don't know how to get there from here. I'm gonna have to probably maps it. Okay, so I'm gonna finish this off. Last thing. So basically, in conclusion, I feel like the reason I get why women say all men are trash. I get it. Like I said, with my own personal experience, the only reason why I say we shouldn't do it is because when we begin this mindset of all men are trash, we're doing the same thing they did to us. And we're starting to become like them when we treat men bad and we discriminate against them and we just treat them like garbage. And we're just doing the same thing they're doing to us. Now, am I saying that you should let a man degrade you? No, I'm not saying that. Like, when a man's degrading you, check them, correct them, tell them, you can't be doing that to me. But I'm saying when you make the motive to, like, you see a man and you automatically are going to be rude to them, if there's no sign showing you to do that, in the sense of, let's say you're walking across the street and you see a man trying to check you or trying to like talk to you sexually, that's different, because you kind of just have to be rude, or you kind of have to be like, no, leave me alone. Because even men don't even respect the sense of sexuality. Like, if you tell a man you're gay, they'll be like, oh, I could make you straight. Like, bro, they don't get standards, they don't get boundaries. It's crazy. You know how many times I've heard people talk about how like they'll like literally like because sometimes when you don't want a man to have any attention drawn to you, have to pretend you're a lesbian. Like, sorry, I'm into girls. And then it'll work for some people. And then other times, they'll be like, oh, it's okay, I can make you sure. Oh, have you tried it? How you know you're lesbian if you haven't tried a man? I'm like, oh, no, that's not the way to go. That's not the move. But anyway, yeah, I'm done talking. I've been talking for like an hour and a half right now. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that phrase. Now, am I saying that like I judge people that say this phrase? No. I don't judge people that say this phrase because, like I said, I understand. I would just try to say, like, maybe lessen on the amount of, if you want to say men are trash, most men are trash. That's a new motto, most men are trash, because that's accurate. Most men are trash. Let's be for real. Most men are trash. But that's saying most men. That's not saying all men. That's not saying every man. It's saying most. I would say most men are trash. Because they are. Most men are trash because of how society allows them to be that way. And also because they feel entitled to do whatever they want. It's just like, no. But like, no. But yeah, so I'm done talking. That's it for my little rant. It was an hour and a half. That's it for my rant about men and about why I don't agree, but also understand. I don't agree with saying that phrase, but I understand. I say I don't agree just because I feel like it's not productive. It doesn't help fight the stance of wanting equality, because it just shows that women now, they just want to walk all over men. But in reality, we should just want to walk with each other. Like, we should just want to walk on the same sidewalk without being scared that the man's going to kidnap us. You know what I mean? So we just want equality, and I feel like saying all men are trash doesn't help the equal standard. It just makes things worse. So essentially, if you want to say something about men being trash, say most men. Most men are trash. Most men are trash, because that's a statement that's factual. Like, we've seen in history and the criminal studies and everything. Most men are trash. Because hello, all the wars that were started in America, who were the ones starting them? Men. Case closed. Thank you guys for listening or watching this podcast. If you want to follow the podcast Instagram, it is just at Randonchatswana. You can either DM me your comments about this topic, or you can also DM me topics that you want me to talk about, or just if you want to see a DM the podcast on Instagram, you can do that as well. If you are watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below your personal opinion about the phrase, whether you agree with me, whether you disagree. If you want to open up about your own personal experiences with men and how annoying men were in your life, you feel free. It's a safe space. If I see any hate comments in the comments down below, I'm blocking you. No hate. This is a safe space for women and men. This is a safe space for everybody. Safe space for all people. And if I see any hate, I'm deleting. I'm blocking, deleting. I'm doing everything I can to make sure my comment section, if there are comments, is a safe space for everybody. Yeah, you want to follow my personal social medias, my Instagram and TikTok are just @Cash. My Twitter is joyful_cash. It'll also be in the description box of this video, so you can just follow it there if you want to see it. And yeah, next week I will either do two things. I will either make a podcast about my experience, my funny experiences with boys, because I have a bunch of stories I can tell, or it'll be the video about art, like the career in art. But yeah, so I will see you guys maybe next week, if not 2 weeks from now. I'll see you when I see you, basically. Oh, my phone. Okay, there was a person that was walking. I just wanted to be like, okay, I gotta go to the thrift store to drop some stuff off and then run errands. Okay. Okay. Bye.